The sun rose over the Intergalactic Defense Academy, casting long golden rays across its sleek towers and polished training grounds. On the surface, it looked peaceful, almost serene. But within the academy walls, thousands of cadets were busy preparing for another day of rigorous training. Alien cadets of all shapes and sizes bustled through the corridors, each confident in their strength and abilities. They had trained for years to become the galaxy's elite protectors, and the academy was their proving ground. In the middle of this organized chaos walked Alex Mercer, a young human cadet. Humans were rare at the academy. Most of the aliens believed humans were fragile and limited in ability. They had strong muscles, sharp claws, wings, or tentacles, things that humans simply did not possess. Alex, by contrast, had neither. He was small in stature, with short brown hair and thoughtful green eyes that always seemed to be analyzing everything around him. As Alex moved through the training halls, he could feel the curious stares of alien cadets. Some whispered to each other, pointing at him. "That human thinks he can fight apex beasts?" One whispered. "He's lucky if he can lift a training laser pistol," another muttered. Alex had grown used to this. He had learned early that the galaxy underestimated humans, and that underestimation could be a powerful advantage. While other cadets focused solely on their physical training, Alex focused on strategy, problem-solving, and observation. His mind was his weapon, even if the galaxy didn't recognize it yet. He arrived at the central training courtyard, where cadets often practiced combat drills. The courtyard was massive, surrounded by glass domes and reinforced barriers that shimmered with energy. Even the strongest beasts of the galaxy would struggle to breach it. That thought gave the cadets a sense of safety. Alex paused at the edge of the courtyard, taking in the sight of his fellow cadets. Some practiced hand-to-hand combat, others ran obstacle courses, and a few trained with energy weapons. All were confident, proud, and, for now, unafraid. "Alex," called Commander Vark, a tall, four-armed alien with blue scales and glowing amber eyes. "Don't just stand there daydreaming. Your agility drills start in 5 minutes." "Yes, Commander," Alex replied, bowing slightly. He sprinted toward the training area, weaving through groups of cadets who barely acknowledged him. Just as he began his warm-up, a sudden alarm echoed through the academy, a loud, shrill siren that no cadet had ever heard before. Red lights flashed across the training grounds, casting eerie shadows across the walls. "What is it?" shouted one of the alien cadets, a muscular, horned being named Threx. His claws clicked nervously on the metal floor. "Unknown threat detected in the main courtyard," a voice announced over the intercom. It was strict, calm, and precise, but carried a tone of urgency that immediately drew attention. "All cadets proceed to defensive positions. Faculty, initiate lockdown protocols." Panic spread quickly. Cadets who were moments ago confident in their abilities now froze. The central courtyard, which had seemed invincible, suddenly felt exposed and vulnerable. Alex's mind went into overdrive. He scanned the courtyard through the reinforced glass domes. From the corner of his eye, he noticed shadows moving fast, low, and sleek. His stomach tightened as he realized what the sensors had detected. Apex beasts. These were not ordinary creatures. They were the galaxy's deadliest predators, creatures of legend that had been thought extinct for centuries. Sharp claws, armored hides, teeth like daggers, and senses honed to perfection, they were designed to hunt and destroy anything in their path. Most alien cadets had never faced such creatures. Some had only read about them in history books or seen holographic simulations. And yet, here they were, moving with terrifying precision across the academy grounds. Commander Vark's voice rang out again. "Cadets, stay calm. Form defensive perimeters. Remember your training." Threx stomped forward, his horns glinting in the red alarm light. "I've faced apex predators before," Stay behind me! He raised his energy blade. Muscles tensed, ready to strike. Other cadets followed, forming a rough line, weapons ready, but fear flickered in their eyes. Alex, by contrast, took a few steps back. He did not have powerful claws, energy blades, or armored scales. But he had a pen in his pocket, a simple human tool he always carried. Most cadets would have laughed at him if they saw it now. A pen against an apex beast? Ridiculous. Yet Alex did not see it that way. He had learned long ago that brains often mattered more than brawn. He began to assess the situation. The beast's movement patterns, the way they hunted, the weak points in their approach. Every detail mattered. A low growl rumbled through the courtyard as the first beast appeared. It was massive, twice the height of a fully grown Threx, with black scales that shimmered like oil. Its eyes glowed red, and it moved with frightening speed. Cadets froze as the beast's sharp claws ripped through a reinforced barrier, sending shards of glass flying. "Fall back," Commander Vark shouted. "Engage carefully." The cadets hesitated. The beasts were faster than anything they had trained for, and their attacks were unpredictable. Some alien cadets tried to strike, only to be swatted aside by sheer force. Panic grew. Alex ducked behind a small energy pillar and studied the first beast. Its legs were strong, but slightly awkward when it turned sharply. Its eyes were sensitive to light. Its claws were deadly, but there was a rhythm to its movements. Patterns always existed, even in chaos, Alex thought. As the beast lunged at a horned cadet, Alex noticed something crucial. The cadet had relied entirely on brute strength, standing rigid and swinging wildly. The beast anticipated every move, dodging easily. Alex's mind raced. If he could use strategy and clever thinking, he might be able to counter the beasts in a way the aliens couldn't. He checked his pockets. The pen. It was small, inconsequential, but it was all he had. Meanwhile, other cadets struggled. A tentacled alien tried to ensnare one of the beasts, only to have its tentacles torn away. A flying cadet attempted to strike from above, but the beast leapt higher, faster than anyone expected, knocking the cadet into the courtyard walls. Commander Vark's voice became more urgent. "Contain them. Don't let them breach the central lab." Alex knew the lab housed advanced technology and experimental weapons. If the beasts reached it, the damage could be catastrophic. He also knew that relying solely on strength would fail. Taking a deep breath, Alex stepped out from behind his cover. He moved calmly, deliberately, while the chaos raged around him. His eyes locked on the first beast. It was aggressive, but predictable if one watched carefully. He gripped his pen tightly. It might seem insignificant, but Alex had ideas. He had spent countless hours studying physics, mechanics, and the behavior of dangerous creatures. His mind was already forming a plan, one that no alien cadet would have thought of. As he began moving toward the beast, weaving between debris and fallen cadets, Alex realized something. The Academy, despite its advanced technology, its strong walls, and powerful cadets, was vulnerable. It had relied too much on brute strength and tradition. He, a human, small and underestimated, might be its unexpected savior. The first beast noticed him and growled. Its glowing red eyes locked onto Alex, sensing a small, unarmored target. Most cadets would have panicked, but Alex did not. He calculated the beast's speed, the angle of its claws, and the timing of its lunges. Every movement had a solution if one thought carefully. And as the chaos continued around him, Alex took his first deliberate step toward turning the tide. He may have had only a pen, he may have been small, but he was human, and humans had a talent the galaxy often underestimated. They could think, adapt, and overcome when all else seemed lost. The courtyard was a battlefield. Smoke and debris filled the air as the apex beasts tore through reinforced barriers with terrifying strength. The Academy, once a symbol of safety and power, now seemed fragile under the beasts' assault. Screams and the sounds of clashing weapons echoed from all directions. Cadets scattered, some trying to fight, others simply trying to survive. Alex Mercer crouched behind a toppled energy pillar, his green eyes scanning every movement. The first beast had lunged toward a group of alien cadets, knocking them aside with sheer force. Its black scales shimmered in the red alarm light, and its glowing eyes followed every movement around it. Most cadets were panicking. Threx, the horned cadet, swung his energy blade wildly, but the beast anticipated every strike. Another cadet, a tentacled being named Lauren, tried to ensnare the creature, only to have her limbs flung violently aside. The beasts were fast, intelligent, and seemingly unstoppable. Alex, however, did not panic. He had faced challenges before, where strength alone could not solve the problem. He studied the movements of the first beast, noting its rhythm. It was fast, yes, but it relied on predictable lunges and sharp, direct attacks. There was a pattern in its chaos. He touched the pen in his pocket. It was small and unassuming, a simple human writing tool. But Alex had plans. He recalled his studies on leverage, momentum, and animal behavior. Even a small tool could become deadly if used creatively. Taking a deep breath, Alex moved forward, weaving through fallen cadets and shattered debris. He stayed low, minimizing his exposure, and approached the first beast carefully. Its red eyes glared at him as it crouched, preparing to strike. "Think, Alex," he whispered to himself. "They rely on strength, not brains. There's always a weakness." The first opportunity came quickly. The beast lunged, claws extended. Alex rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the strike. He noticed that it overcommitted to its attacks. Its movements were powerful, but left it unbalanced for a fraction of a second. That fraction was enough. Alex grabbed a loose piece of metal from the ground and flicked it toward the beast. The sudden movement caught its attention, and it shifted focus. In that moment, Alex darted closer, ready to act. Meanwhile, chaos erupted around him. Another beast appeared. This one smaller but just as deadly. It lunged at cadets, tearing through shields and energy barriers. Commander Vark barked orders, trying to organize the remaining cadets, but fear and confusion were overwhelming. Alex realized that relying on weapons alone would not work. The beasts were too fast and intelligent. If he wanted to survive and help the others, he had to outthink them. He crouched low and examined the pen in his hand. It was light, easy to throw, and surprisingly sharp at the tip. Not enough to pierce thick scales, but it could be used for distraction, precision strikes, or triggering traps. The second beast lunged at a cadet, but Alex acted quickly. He hurled the pen, not at the beast's body, but toward a reflective panel nearby. The pen struck the panel, causing a flash of light that distracted the creature. The cadet took the opportunity to move behind cover, unharmed. Alex smiled slightly. One small act, but it worked. The other cadets began to notice. Some were too panicked to act, but a few started to watch him closely. Even Threx, who had mocked humans earlier, paused and observed. Another challenge appeared immediately. The first beast had recovered and now advanced toward Alex. Its claws left deep grooves in the metal floor, sparks flying with each step. Its jaws opened wide, revealing razor-sharp teeth. Alex ran, dodging left and right, keeping the creature moving but never engaging directly. He led it toward a series of small energy pylons lining the courtyard. As the beast lunged again, Alex slid under its massive claws, pushing a pylon in its path. The pylon toppled, creating a small barrier. It was enough to slow the beast for a second, enough for Alex to continue his strategy. He noticed that the creatures were sensitive to sudden light and sound changes. If he could use the environment cleverly, even a small human like him could turn the situation in his favor. A loud roar filled the courtyard. Alex turned to see another beast, this one enormous, larger than any cadet had ever fought, approaching from the far side. Its massive frame shook the ground with every step, and its glowing eyes scanned for movement. Cadets froze at the sight. Alex realized that brute strength alone would not stop this beast. The Academy's defenses were failing. He needed creativity and courage. He ran toward a cluster of training drones hovering nearby. With precise throws, he knocked several into the beast's path. Sparks flew, and the sudden flashes of light caused the creature to hesitate. The smaller cadets began to regain some courage, inspired by Alex's actions. They began to help where they could, creating distractions, moving debris, or leading the beasts into traps. Even Threx finally nodded in approval, realizing that Alex's mind was as dangerous as any weapon. Despite the small victories, the beasts were relentless. One lunged at Alex, claws extended. He rolled to the side and noticed a narrow ventilation grate above. Without hesitation, he climbed the debris, reaching the grate and kicking it open. The beast leapt toward him, but its bulk made it slow and clumsy in tight spaces. Alex dropped down on the other side, safe for now. He took a moment to catch his breath and observe the battlefield. The courtyard was a mess of overturned barriers, shattered glass, and frightened cadets. The beasts were still moving, hunting, and destroying. But there was hope. Hope that strategy, intelligence, and quick thinking could make a difference. He noticed another detail. The beasts were territorial and reactive, not chaotic. They were strong, yes, but they reacted to stimuli in predictable ways. Every movement, every distraction could be used against them. Alex began formulating a larger plan, one that would allow him to outsmart the apex beasts, using nothing but his mind and a simple pen. Suddenly, a cadet screamed. A smaller beast had cornered one of the alien cadets near the Academy's energy shield. Without thinking, Alex hurled his pen toward a reflective panel again. The pen struck perfectly, causing a flash of light that momentarily blinded the creature. The cadet scrambled to safety. Alex realized that his actions were not just keeping himself alive, they were saving others. Even the strongest cadets could falter against the apex beasts, but a clever human had a chance. As he moved through the debris, Alex felt a mixture of fear and determination. Every step was dangerous, but every step also brought him closer to proving that humans could overcome challenges far greater than themselves. Commander Vark's voice came over the intercom again. "All cadets, regroup. Focus on containment." Alex didn't respond. He didn't need orders. He was focused on survival and strategy. He observed the patterns of the beasts, the layout of the courtyard, and the tools at his disposal. Every detail mattered. Every small advantage counted. The beasts were relentless, but Alex was relentless too. He darted, dodged, and used the environment cleverly. A fallen energy pylon became a ramp to vault behind cover. Sparks from shattered wires distracted the creatures. Even his pen, small and light, became a tool for distraction and precision. By the end of the first hour of chaos, some cadets had started following Alex's lead, inspired by his cleverness and calm under pressure. They began to understand something important. Strength alone was not enough. Intelligence, strategy, and courage could win where brute force failed. Alex paused on a small rise in the debris-strewn courtyard. The apex beasts were still dangerous, still powerful, still terrifying. But for the first time, he felt a spark of hope, not just for himself, but for the cadets who had doubted humans. He gripped the pen tightly, his mind racing. The battle was far from over. The beasts were still a threat, and the Academy was still vulnerable. But Alex Mercer, a small human in a galaxy full of stronger aliens, had begun to turn the tide, using nothing but cleverness, courage, and a pen. And the apex beasts, for all their strength and terror, were about to learn that humans were far from helpless. The Academy's courtyard had become a war zone. Smoke drifted lazily through the air, but the chaos below moved fast and deadly. The apex beasts roamed freely, their eyes glowing red with relentless hunger. Cadets scrambled for safety, and some were trapped, cornered by creatures much larger than themselves. Alex Mercer crouched behind a broken energy pylon, his chest heaving. He had been running, dodging, and improvising for hours. Every step he took was carefully calculated. While most cadets relied on strength, Alex relied on observation, quick thinking, and creativity. And for now, it was keeping him alive. He touched the pen in his pocket. To anyone else, it was a simple writing tool, useless in combat. But Alex had begun to see it differently. Small, precise, and versatile. It could be turned into a weapon or a tool in the right hands. Alex watched as the first beast, the largest of them all, circled around a group of cadets. It moved with terrifying speed, its massive claws scraping the metal floor and sending sparks flying. Its eyes locked on the group, calculating, hunting. The cadets raised energy shields, but the beast easily swatted them aside, forcing the cadets to retreat. Alex smiled faintly. He had noticed something important. The apex beasts were clever, but reactive. They attacked what seemed most vulnerable. They did not anticipate strategy beyond immediate motion. He picked up a small shard of glass from a shattered barrier and held it lightly in one hand. With the pen in his other hand, he began to plan a distraction. He needed the beast to focus elsewhere, giving him the opportunity to act decisively. The beast lunged at a cadet, and Alex hurled the glass shard toward a reflective metal panel on the wall. Light bounced off it and flashed into the beast's eyes. Its head jerked back instinctively, blinded for a moment. The cadet scrambled away, unharmed. Alex saw the opportunity and acted quickly. He ran toward a pile of debris and climbed on top of it, keeping low to stay out of direct attack range. The beast had recovered, but it hesitated, scanning for movement. Alex noticed its massive tail sweeping back and forth, a potential weapon he could use to his advantage. He tossed the pen not at the beast, but at the ground near its tail. It bounced, catching the beast's attention. The beast lunged toward the pen, thinking it was prey. Alex used that moment to slide behind a broken pillar, safe for now. Every small act mattered. Cadets nearby had begun to notice. Some were too frightened to help, but a few started paying attention to Alex's methods. Brains could complement strength, Alex thought, and maybe even save lives. Another apex beast appeared, smaller but no less deadly. It stalked a group of cadets near the central lab. Alex took a deep breath. The lab housed sensitive technology that must not be destroyed. He had to act, and fast. He looked around and spotted a series of low-hanging support beams and suspended cables. An idea sparked. He ran toward them, dodging debris and leaping over fallen cadets. With precise timing, he looped the pen's cap onto a loose cable and tugged. The cable swung like a pendulum, catching the beast off guard and knocking it backward. It roared in confusion, its focus broken. Alex smiled. Improvisation was his strength. While the beasts relied on raw power, he relied on thinking creatively. Every distraction, every small move, forced them to react rather than attack with deadly efficiency. The largest beast turned its attention to Alex. Its glowing eyes followed him with unnerving intelligence. It lunged, claws extended, faster than anything Alex had anticipated. He rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding a lethal strike. Sparks flew where its claws hit the metal floor. Alex's heart raced, but he forced himself to remain calm. Panic would make him predictable. He needed precision, observation, and patience. He studied the beast's massive limbs, noting where its joints were slightly exposed. With a careful flick, he threw the pen at a precise angle, striking a control panel nearby. The panel sparked and sent a small electrical discharge, startling the beast and causing it to stumble. For a moment, the beast paused. Alex seized the opportunity. He ran toward another set of debris, climbed it, and launched himself toward a narrow ventilation shaft overhead. The beast lunged after him, but its size made it impossible to follow. Alex landed safely on the other side. The other cadets began to act more confidently. Inspired by Alex's cleverness, they started creating small distractions and moving debris to channel the beasts away from vulnerable areas. Even Threx, the horned cadet who had once mocked humans, was observing carefully, impressed by Alex's strategy. Alex realized something important. He was changing the battlefield, not just surviving it. The apex beasts were formidable, but they could be outsmarted. He just had to keep thinking, keep improvising, and never give them a direct target. He spotted another group of cadets cornered by a medium-sized apex beast. They were trapped between a broken wall and a fallen energy barrier, with nowhere to escape. Alex ran toward them, pen in hand, thinking quickly. He noticed a loose panel on the wall above the beast. With a careful toss of the pen, he hit the panel, dislodging it. The metal shard fell directly in front of the beast, forcing it to leap back. The cadets took the opportunity to slip past and move toward safer ground. Alex's movements were fluid, deliberate, and precise. He had become a conductor of chaos, directing cadets and distractions while keeping the apex beasts off balance. Every action counted. Every small detail mattered. As he prepared for his next move, the largest beast shifted, sensing a change in strategy. It roared loudly, a sound that shook the courtyard and reverberated through the academy walls. Alex froze for a split second, realizing it had noticed his tactics. But he did not panic. Instead, he observed carefully, looking for a pattern in its reaction. The beast lunged at a group of cadets, but Alex had already predicted its path. Using a fallen energy cable, he created a makeshift tripline across the floor. The beast stumbled as it charged forward, momentarily losing its balance. Alex seized the moment, rolling under its massive claws and landing safely behind cover. The cadets watched in awe. A small human, armed only with a pen and quick thinking, was turning the tide in ways they could not. They began to understand something crucial. Strength alone was not enough. Strategy, creativity, and courage mattered just as much. Alex's mind raced. He had managed to keep the apex beasts distracted and off balance, but they were still dangerous. One wrong move, one lapse in observation, and he could be killed instantly. He needed a plan, a larger strategy that could neutralize the beasts without relying on brute force. He looked around the courtyard, noting every weak point, every unstable structure, every potential distraction. He noticed the Academy's energy barriers, some of which were damaged and flickering. He noticed reflective panels, cables, debris, and environmental features that could be turned to his advantage. And he noticed a critical fact. The apex beasts, despite their intelligence and power, reacted predictably to stimuli. They did not anticipate clever traps or improvised tools. They were hunters, not strategists. A bold idea formed in Alex's mind. Using the pen, combined with his knowledge of physics and mechanics, he could create distractions, trigger environmental traps, and control the battlefield, all while keeping himself and other cadets safe. He gripped the pen tightly, his green eyes scanning the courtyard. Sparks flew, debris shifted, and the beasts roared in frustration as they realized the small human was no ordinary cadet. The battle was far from over. The apex beasts were still dangerous, still relentless, and still alive. But Alex Mercer had begun to demonstrate something extraordinary: that humans could turn the seemingly impossible into reality using intelligence, creativity, and courage. And as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the courtyard, Alex prepared for the next phase of his plan. The apex beasts would soon learn that size, strength, and terror were not the only measures of power, and that a clever human, armed with nothing but a pen and an indomitable mind, could challenge even the fiercest predators in the galaxy. The Academy courtyard was still in chaos. Smoke curled around shattered barriers, sparks danced along twisted metal, and the air was thick with tension. The apex beasts prowled relentlessly, their red eyes scanning for prey. Cadets scrambled, exhausted, and some were injured. But amidst the chaos, a small figure moved with focus and purpose. Alex Mercer. Alex's mind raced. He had survived by observing, improvising, and using clever tricks. But the battle was far from over. The largest beast, the one twice the size of any cadet, remained a constant threat. Its eyes followed him like a predator studying a mouse, patient, calculating, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Alex gripped his pen tightly. Small, unassuming, yet full of potential in clever hands. He had already used it to distract, to manipulate the environment, and to save cadets. But now, he needed to turn the tide decisively. He surveyed the courtyard. Broken energy pylons, loose debris, reflective panels, and flickering lights were scattered everywhere. The beasts were powerful, but the battlefield was full of tools that could work to his advantage. Alex took a deep breath and began moving strategically, luring the largest beast toward a corner of the courtyard. He ran low and fast, dodging debris, letting the beast follow him with predictable lunges. Its claws shredded metal, sparks flying, but Alex stayed just out of reach. "Think, Alex, think," he muttered under his breath. The beast was strong, fast, and relentless, but it was not smart enough to anticipate clever traps, and that was where he could win. He spotted a cluster of suspended energy cables connected to a partially damaged energy pylon. If he could trigger them correctly, he could create a chain reaction enough to knock the beast off balance without risking cadets' lives. But it would require precision. Alex picked up a small shard of glass from the rubble and tested the tension of the cables with a careful flick. They moved just enough to swing like pendulums. He nodded to himself. Now all he needed was timing. He ran in a zigzag pattern, making the beast focus on him. Its massive jaws snapped shut, claws slashing the air. But Alex was already in position. He threw the pen not directly at the beast, but at a reflective panel nearby. It hit perfectly, creating a sudden flash of light in the beast's eyes. It roared in confusion, swiping its massive claws wildly. That split second was enough. Alex sprinted to the cluster of cables, rolling under a dangling wire. With a sharp, precise motion, he tugged at a loose connector with his pen. Sparks flew. One cable snapped free, swinging toward the beast. The beast leapt, trying to strike him, but its momentum carried it directly into the swinging cables. The force hit it squarely in the side, causing it to stumble. Alex darted behind a broken pillar, heart pounding. The beast roared in frustration, trying to regain balance, but Alex had already calculated its next steps. He adjusted another cable, creating a second swing. And this time, it struck the beast squarely in the chest, knocking it to the ground. Cadets watching from behind cover gasped. The largest beast, feared and almost unstoppable, had been disrupted by a human, using only a pen and his ingenuity. Alex didn't pause to celebrate. He had more work to do. A smaller beast lunged at a group of cadets near the energy lab. Alex noticed it had a weakness. It was overly confident and didn't anticipate clever distractions. He grabbed another shard of glass and tossed it onto a flickering panel above. Sparks and flashes blinded the creature briefly, giving the cadets a chance to escape. Alex realized something important. The apex beasts were powerful, but they reacted to stimuli rather than strategy. They did not think ahead, did not anticipate improvisation. That was humanity's strength. Cleverness could overcome strength. He moved quickly, positioning himself between the two remaining beasts and a group of cadets trapped near a broken energy barrier. Timing and precision were everything. The smaller beast lunged at him, claws extended. Alex rolled to the side, dodging its massive strike. Using the pen, he struck a loose cable, sending it swinging into the beast's legs. It stumbled, giving him the opening he needed. Alex seized the moment. He darted toward a reflective panel above another cadet, using the pen to knock it loose. Light flashed directly into the beast's eyes, and it recoiled in confusion. The cadets scrambled to safety, following Alex's lead. Meanwhile, the largest beast struggled to stand after being knocked down by the swinging cables. It glared at Alex, its eyes filled with a mix of rage and calculation. Alex studied it carefully, noting the way it shifted its massive body, the patterns of its movements. He realized that brute strength alone would not defeat it, but its size and momentum could be used against it. Alex sprinted along the edge of the courtyard, leading the beast toward a narrow corridor lined with unstable scaffolding. Its massive bulk made it difficult for it to maneuver. Alex dodged left and right, letting it follow him blindly. When it lunged, he rolled beneath a low beam, forcing it to crash into the scaffolding. Metal groaned and twisted under the impact, and the beast roared, trapped partially by its own size. Cadets nearby watched in awe. A small human, armed only with a pen and a mind full of strategy, was controlling the battlefield. Even Threx, who had doubted humans all day, now nodded in respect. Alex didn't pause. He had learned that the apex beasts were strongest when they felt in control. By forcing them to react instead of act, he could shape the battlefield. He moved with precision, triggering fallen energy cables, tipping debris, and using light reflections to blind and distract. Each act forced the beasts into positions where their size became a liability rather than an advantage. A critical moment came when the largest beast tried to lunge through the narrow corridor. Its momentum was too great for the tight space. Alex waited for the perfect instant, then used the pen to push a loose metal panel onto the floor. The panel slid under the beast's massive feet, causing it to lose balance completely. It crashed to the ground with a deafening roar, trapped between twisted scaffolding and fallen debris. The smaller beast hesitated nearby, uncertain now. Alex gripped the pen tightly, his mind racing. He needed to finish this carefully, without harming cadets or destroying critical parts of the academy. Using another reflective panel and careful timing, he created a flash of light directly in the smaller beast's eyes. Startled, it retreated toward a corner of the courtyard, where Alex had prepared a makeshift trap. Loose wires, debris, and energy pylons combined to create a temporary enclosure. With a final push of a panel using the pen, he guided the beast inside the corner. The apex beasts were finally controlled, trapped, or disrupted. The courtyard was still damaged, but the tide had turned. Cadets who had been paralyzed by fear now began moving confidently, following Alex's lead, inspired by his cleverness and courage. Commander Vark's voice rang out over the intercom. "All cadets, regroup. The threat is contained, thanks to the bravery and strategy of Cadet Alex Mercer." Alex, breathing heavily, allowed himself a small smile. He had done it not through brute strength, not through alien powers, but through strategy, intelligence, and courage. The apex beasts, feared by all, had been subdued by a human armed with nothing but a pen and an indomitable mind. The academy was safe for now, but the message was clear. Humans, small and underestimated, could overcome challenges far greater than themselves. Strength alone did not define power. Cleverness, creativity, and courage could triumph where force failed. As Alex looked around the courtyard, seeing cadets helping each other and repairing damage, he felt a surge of pride. He had not only survived, He had led, protected, and inspired others. The apex beasts, terrifying and powerful, had met their match in a human who refused to be underestimated. And in the quiet moments that followed, Alex knew that the real victory was not just defeating the beasts. It was proving, once and for all, that humans could stand tall in a galaxy full of stronger, larger, and seemingly invincible creatures. The dust was finally settling over the Academy courtyard. Smoke curled into the sky, and the flickering energy panels cast faint shadows over the twisted metal and debris. The apex beasts, once a terrifying force of destruction, now lay restrained, stunned, or trapped by clever use of environmental hazards and quick thinking. The battle that had begun with panic and fear had ended in an unlikely victory, and at the heart of it all was Alex Mercer, the small human cadet with a pen. Cadets began cautiously moving from behind cover. Injuries were minor for most, though a few had scratches and bruises. Commander Vark moved through the courtyard, assessing the damage. His 4 arms flexed in relief as he saw the beasts subdued. "Is everyone accounted for?" he asked, his voice still carrying authority, though tinged with awe. Threx stepped forward, slightly shaken but holding his energy blade with pride. "Thanks to Cadet Mercer," he said, his voice low, almost in disbelief. I didn't think a human could." He stopped, unable to find words. Alex, panting from exhaustion, held his pen tightly. It had been a simple tool at the start of the day, but in his hands, it had become a symbol of human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. The cadets gathered around, some still staring in disbelief. The apex beasts had been feared for generations, creatures that could overwhelm even the strongest alien warriors. Yet here they were, subdued by a single human who relied not on raw power, but on strategy, observation, and creativity. Alex looked around the courtyard. Broken panels, sparks from damaged energy conduits, and toppled barriers littered the area. Cadets were helping each other up, assisting those who had tripped or been pushed aside in the chaos. And through it all, they were looking at Alex with respect, admiration, and something new belief. Commander Vark approached Alex, his multi-limbed form towering over the human. "Cadet Mercer," he said solemnly, "you have done what many thought impossible. You have protected the Academy, saved your fellow cadets, and neutralized a threat that was believed unstoppable." Alex nodded, trying to hide his exhaustion. "I just used what I had," he said quietly. "Brains over brawn, observation, strategy, and quick thinking." The commander's glowing amber eyes studied him. "You have proven that even the smallest of beings can achieve greatness with courage and ingenuity. The galaxy will remember this day." Cadets murmured among themselves. Some of the older alien cadets, who had laughed at humans before, were now silent, thoughtful. Alex's actions had challenged everything they believed about strength, power, and leadership. A small group of cadets approached, offering thanks. One tentacled cadet, Lauren, bowed respectfully. "Cadet Mercer, your tactics saved us. I misjudged humans." Alex smiled faintly. "You're welcome. Just remember thinking, observing, and adapting can be just as powerful as strength. Don't underestimate anyone." He turned his attention to the largest beast, which was finally regaining its footing, but was trapped among twisted scaffolding and fallen pylons. Its red eyes, once glowing with menace, now flickered with confusion. Alex studied it carefully. Even the mightiest predator had limits, and it had been outsmarted rather than overpowered. He moved closer, cautiously, pen in hand. He didn't strike. He only needed to ensure the beast remained contained until reinforcements arrived. The smaller beasts, meanwhile, were herded into temporary enclosures using the Academy's damaged energy barriers. Alex allowed himself a moment to breathe. The adrenaline that had fueled him throughout the battle was beginning to fade, leaving behind exhaustion, but also a profound sense of accomplishment. He had done the impossible. He had shown the galaxy that humans, underestimated and small, could outthink and overcome even the most terrifying challenges. Over the next hour, faculty and reinforcements arrived. Energy barriers were reactivated, containment fields restored, and the apex beasts were fully secured. Cadets worked together to clear debris and repair damaged structures. Through it all, Alex remained calm, guiding others, offering advice, and ensuring no one was left behind. By the time the Academy courtyard was somewhat restored, a crowd had gathered. Cadets, instructors, and even visiting officials from other species had come to witness the aftermath. Whispers spread quickly humans were clever, capable, and brave. Commander Vark called for silence. Today, we witnessed a historic event. Cadet Alex Mercer, a human, has demonstrated the power of intelligence, creativity, and courage. Not only did he survive when many others would have fallen, but he also saved the lives of his fellow cadets and neutralized the apex beasts without reliance on raw strength. The crowd erupted in cheers. Cadets who had doubted Alex now looked at him with admiration. Even Threx stepped forward and offered a respectful nod. Alex felt a warm glow of pride, but also humility. He knew the victory had not come from strength. It had come from careful observation, quick thinking, and the willingness to act when others hesitated. The pen in his hand, once a simple tool, was now a symbol of human ingenuity. After the ceremony, Alex walked among the cadets, helping the injured and offering advice on safety and strategy. He noticed younger cadets watching him closely, their eyes wide with inspiration. He smiled, realizing that today's events would be remembered for generations, not because of brute strength, but because of cleverness, courage, and adaptability. As the sun began to set, casting golden light over the courtyard, Alex paused and looked at the remaining apex beasts, now safely contained. They were formidable, terrifying, and deadly, but they had been bested without violence alone. Humans could think, adapt, and overcome, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. Commander Vark approached once more. Cadet Mercer, you have earned the highest respect of this academy, not only for your courage, but for reminding all of us that intelligence and strategy are as powerful as strength. Alex nodded quietly. Thank you, Commander. I just did what I thought was necessary. But he knew, deep down, that this day had changed how humans were perceived across the Academy and perhaps the galaxy. They were no longer simply the small, fragile species many had dismissed. They were survivors, innovators, and heroes. As night fell, the Academy lights glowed softly over the repaired courtyard. Cadets returned to their dormitories, instructors resumed planning, and the apex beasts rested in their containment. Alex walked through the quiet halls, pen in pocket, reflecting on the events of the day. He thought of the cadets he had saved, the beasts he had outsmarted, and the respect he had earned. For a moment, he allowed himself a small smile. Humans were often underestimated, but today had proven that even the smallest, seemingly weakest species could achieve greatness. And as he looked up at the stars beyond the Academy walls, Alex felt a sense of purpose. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges far greater than apex beasts, but he now knew that with courage, intelligence, and creativity, humans could face any challenge and emerge victorious. The Academy had been tested, and humans had shown their true strength. Not through muscle or claws, not through wings or tentacles, but through mind, heart, and determination. Alex Mercer, the human cadet who had slain apex beasts with nothing but a pen, had proven to the galaxy that humans were a force to be reckoned with. And in that quiet, triumphant moment, the once underestimated species stood tall, ready to face whatever new challenges the universe might bring.